Hey everyone, I just thought I'd make a quick video today. I am working on an old black powder shotgun from the 1860s. I think this has been on the channel briefly once. No one's ever seen it completed. But I've got the barrel browned and ready for the rib. Actually, not quite ready for the rib. You gotta grind off the finish there. You can kind of see where it's a little streaky. But right now, well, I've got the rib chilling out in some baking soda to neutralize it. I am just going around and I'm bluing the small parts. And I decided to do it the really old-fashioned way today, and just do an oil dip bluing because I thought it would give the best appearance in terms of making it look old, keeping that old vibe. And I've got a couple pieces done already. You're still a little hot. The release latch for the pivot. This is blued, and if you're expecting it to look good on like a new gun or something, that's not what I'm trying to do here. I want to keep the vibe of this is a 160-year-old gun. I want people to know that. The hammer also, I think the hammer came out a little bit better. And I'm going to do the forearm. I don't even know what I would call this, because it's not the forearm, but the metal piece for the forearm. This sits right here in front of the action. And I just thought I would go ahead and go through my whole process, because it's a pretty simple process. And I just want to show you the results that I typically get. So first of all, I use lacquer thinner. Actually, no, I don't use lacquer thinner first. I've got a little wire brush first, and I just like to just knock off any surface rust or any scaling that has formed since I last touched and polished the piece. And just make that surface nice and smooth. I really just like to do the outside, the part of the piece that's going to be visible. So here's how it looks before going in for bluing. I mean, this could barely be called bluing if I'm being honest with you. And then I just use some lacquer thinner and really get off everything that's on there. Lacquer thinner I have found to be the best tool for this, because I don't really like using sprays in this workshop if I don't have to. Oil sprays I'm okay with, like ram oil and whatnot, but I'm really not a fan of using brake cleaner because I'm in a nice finished basement, obviously, and I feel like the scent just lingers longer with the spray. So lacquer thinner also just does a really good job of taking a part that you think is clean and actually cleaning it. So look at all this crud that's coming off of there. Even though you can't really see the difference very much, it definitely is there. By the way, I've also polished these pieces. Did do a great job on this one. Not fantastic, but I've polished them, I think, to like 400 grit. But again, these are 160 years old, so I didn't feel the need to go crazy. Then I have these little hemostats here. Some people just call them grabbers, some people call them those plier things and all of that. And I just like to make sure these are clean, because if you have oil or dirt on them from the previous use, which these almost always get oil on them when you're using them for this purpose, then wherever you grab the part with these, you'll basically leave a footprint that will not get blued or will show up and just stick out. And you can see those couple marks down there, that brown, that's all from the hemostats. And I like to try and grab this as low profile of an area as I can. And so Yeah, just like that, so that I'm not touching the exposed surface. And then just a heat source. I'm using MAP gas. Again, similarly to a spray, I don't really like to have a torch hanging around too much, because this also doubles as my reloading bench. So really, I'll just bring this in for a few hours at a time and try and get all of the really serious heat that I need out of the way. All of the jobs that require a lot of heat. You can do a heat gun. It just takes a lot longer. And then just a cheap little infrared thermometer. And you can see we're starting to turn brown, straw colored. So we're not quite there yet. Where I like to usually get up to around 400 to 450 degrees. And usually once you're there, you'll start to see a little bit of blue. It'll almost look like the color you ultimately want. Yeah, so right there. Just starting to get a little bit on that side. Yeah, so we're all blued up. Let's just double check that we're at a good temperature. It's a little low. Yeah, that's only around like 360. I'm not a metallurgist at all. There are definitely people who are much better at reading steel than I am. And this isn't even steel. This is probably old cast iron, like the rest of the gun. Alright. And then I've got oil here. I'm just using motor oil, but you can use literally any kind of oil, from rem oil to cooking oil, whatever you want. Pyrex, something that will not shatter or melt with heat, because this is going to get hot. And basically you want to make sure the part is hot enough to boil the oil. I like to leave it in there until it completely stops bubbling and take it out. Ooh, that really didn't take. And I'm just gonna dunk it in water real quick. Or maybe it did a little bit. Yeah. So it came out quite a lot darker, actually. There's just one or two spots where I'm not really a huge fan of how it turned out right there. I'm going to redo, but I'm happy with that. That's a little too bright for me. I might hit that again. Obviously the camera is struggling to focus, but you get the idea. So I'll heat this up again. And a lot of people like to say, oh, well, you got to make sure that all the old oil is off. That is true. But when you're heating it up, if you heat it up enough, the old oil is going to burn off anyway. Yeah, you can hear that crackling. That's the old oil burning off. And I basically just give up on trying to read the metal itself once I blew it, because I can't try and read the color through the finish that's still on there. And I'm really just heating up this one spot that I'm not happy with. The rest of it will heat up, but not as much. So I'm at 420 right now. And yeah, just that one part of it caused the oil to boil, which is exactly what I wanted. Now occasionally, usually if I do 2 rounds and I'm still not getting the color I like, I'll just take a very fine file. This is a green diamond file, and just make a couple passes to expose the steel underneath or the iron underneath. And that will usually help you to get a better color. And I'm just dunking it in some water to cool it down. This stuff has baking soda in it from another project, but I am not very good at gunsmithing is what I am. Yeah, so they say lightning never strikes twice. Well, I'm pretty happy with that. I think it obviously doesn't look like something you'd want to buy today, but I think it is going to give us a pretty good old-timey looking finish. And it's going to be a respectable look. It's going to have respect for the original appearance of the gun. And I could have done browning. I really didn't want to because I wanted it to kind of stand out a little bit from the browning. What do you guys think? Do you think I should just brown everything? Or do you think I should leave the blue on the brown? Although this is also kind of a dark gray. And this receiver is eventually going to get color case hardened. If it doesn't look like that can get done anytime soon, I'll probably just brown it for now until we can get the kiln. I'm waiting on someone else who are going to go 50-50 on a kiln to do case hardening with. Yeah, so next I'll probably do the trigger guard. So let me know if you guys have any questions. Oh, and one other thing. Do this in a ventilated area. You don't want to be breathing in burning oil and not having any fresh air. So I have a window right behind the camera, and I have a window on the other side of the room. And when I just have both open, it turns into a wind tunnel. Gonna put a fan at one end and just get really good circulation all the way through the room. That's the most important thing. But yeah, so let me know if you guys have any questions about bluing. This is a really simple process. There are much more complicated ways to do it, but this is how I do it. And then sometimes if I'm looking for more modern bluing, I have kits for it. But for small parts, this is fine. Don't do this on a whole gun. Obviously, it will not come out well. And there are a lot of videos out there that show how to do this. They kind of gloss over a few things. I tried to talk about the things that other people miss, and they also set really unrealistic expectations. It's almost impossible to get a perfectly even matte finish or luster on any part of any size unless you really know what you're doing. And for just like these are the results you're going to get. You're just going to make it darker and throw some oil on it to kind of even it out, and it'll look presentable. This is not to replace salt bluing or niter bluing or anything like that. So let me know if you guys have any questions about this stuff. I'd be happy to answer it. I have a good amount of experience with this, as well as a few other types of bluing. So thanks for watching. Have a good one.